Good evening. Welcome back to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting on Monday, December 14th. We're going to recall the meeting back from recess, and we've looked over the developers agreement. And Mr. Clark, can you summarize and take us through briefly the agreement that we're going to be voting on tonight?
Certainly, Mr. Dents. What you have in front of you this evening for your consideration is a master plan approval agreement. As you know from last week when we had a presentation from representatives from North Point, they discussed the redevelopment of the U.S. Steel site, and they discussed it. It's a phased approach. They showed you what they are planning on doing over the next 8 to 10 years, and they indicated that they'll be coming in maybe by the end of the year, but early next year with land development plans for the first phase. The agreement that you have in front of you this evening is pretty similar to the development agreements that we do with every land development project in the township. The only difference is that for this one, they want to cover certain things as it relates to the entire site and not just each individual project. But one of the things I think is very important to point out is each time they want to develop a particular parcel or a project on a particular parcel, they will be going through the regular land development process. If there are zoning issues, they'll have to go through zoning. They'll have to go deal with the Department of Environmental Protection. They'll have to deal with the Bucks County Conservation District. They'll have to go in front of our Planning Commission. All that this agreement is doing is basically laying out sort of a broad overview of what that process will do, or will be, I should say. And it also lists the fact that it acknowledges that the township has seen the master sketch plan. A couple of other aspects of the master plan agreement that I think are important to point out is we have set certain timelines for plans to be reviewed, none of them which are any significantly different from what's contained in the municipality's planning code. We also talk about the traffic studies that will need to be done, and that one won't need to be done for each project, but it'll be done over a certain period of years. It also acknowledges that the parties will continue to negotiate what we're referring to as a municipal services agreement, because as of right now, as all of you are aware, our police don't patrol down there on a regular basis, and we don't have any responsibilities with regards to the roads or the stormwater. But we are having conversations about a municipal services agreement, and anything that the township would take on with respect to anything down at the site, North Point would negotiate payments to the township. So we'll be talking about that in the next couple of weeks, and possibly have something additional for the board to see in January or maybe in February. The one other thing I just wanted to point out too is, as you know from last week, North Point is making a substantial investment in this property, not just the purchase of the property, but in the development of the property. And obviously much of it is based on how the property is currently zoned. So North Point has asked for some additional language that basically says the township won't go and rezone the property or make any dramatic zoning changes down there without first giving North Point a significant amount of notice and having certain discussions. I don't anticipate that we would be rezoning this property, but North Point just wanted those assurances. I would ask that if you're going to consider this agreement tonight, and if you approve this agreement tonight, you make it pending final solicitor review. I would say that the agreement is probably 95 to 98% done, and there are no substantive changes that are anticipated. But my office and Mr. McGinnis's office, the applicant's attorney, were exchanging this document back and forth over the last week. So there may just be some minor cleanup things that we want to do, but nothing substantive will change.
Okay. Any questions from board members? Mr. Palmer,
No.
Mr. Boraski?
I would just see if Joe Jones, maybe he could just take a minute or two and just discuss from his end and that he was happy or he had any questions or concerns. I'd just like to hear from Joe.
No real concerns. There was a couple of minor language edits that I sent over to the solicitor's office, which I'm sure he'll probably circle back with me on, but I didn't see anything. The waivers are typical for waivers that are typically granted down there. And it looks like there's enough space in the agreement for any future maintenance responsibilities. So from our end, we're good to go. We understand that the applicant has indicated through their engineer that they will work diligently with us to nail down any regional stormwater management approach. So we're comfortable that the agreement is robust enough for us to assure that all of those ordinance requirements will be met.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Thanks, Mr. Dents.
Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Rocco?
Mr. Clark, my question was in regards to item 16, which is the traffic study. I'm trying to make sure I'm reading this correctly. It sounds like they'll do a traffic study for the overall site and only if there's significant alterations to the site, or are they required to do additional traffic studies? Is that correct?
I believe that is correct. You again, you said paragraph 16. We moved the paragraph around today. That's one of the minor edits I'm talking about. It's no longer paragraph 16. It's I'm trying to see where it is right now. It's now paragraph 15.
Okay.
Yes, and you are correct.
Right. So I'm a little uncomfortable with just having one overall traffic study. Reason being, today I work in the city, so I get off at 95 on the Route 1 on the 13 for me on the Marsville. But that area, I'm hoping that would be included in a traffic study, because I would imagine that would be the route that the trucks will be taking to get to and from, at least two in this situation. As you guys know, the top of that ramp on Route 1 and 13 is I don't know how, if we have 10 or 12 or 15 tractor trailers, it's going to be a mess getting on that air. So I just want to make sure that we have that opportunity to ensure that should we see issues that we could ask for a traffic study.
We can. That paragraph indicates that they are to submit an overall traffic study, and with each new development, they are to tell us how this new development aligns with the original traffic study. And if at some point the township decides that we believe the traffic study is outdated or needs to be supplemented, we can ask that it be done.
Okay.
I think, again, what this language was trying to do was prevent them from having to do a full-blown traffic study with each new development, as long as it's in line with the initial traffic study that was originally done.
Yeah. Do you know, Mr. Clark, does it go out as far as like the on-ramp for Route 1 and 13? Like what would be the area of study? Or
I think that's probably a question best put to Mr. Jones.
Yeah, Mr. Rocco, I believe that they're going to have a scoping meeting with PennDOT, and when they have a scoping meeting with PennDOT, PennDOT would identify what intersections have to be included. And I know that intersection or the off-ramp was brought up in previous meetings.
Okay.
And the traffic engineer indicated that that if it makes sense to do that, then they're willing to study that, and other intersections. So I think to follow up with Mr. Clark, yeah, there's room in this language for us to enforce that kind of thing into the traffic study. And so we'll be sure to make sure that we're including that as a concern, whether it's initially or as the project moves forward.
Okay, I'm satisfied. Thank you.
All right. The only thing I'm going to say, it's not really a question, a comment, just to repeat what Mr. Clark said. This isn't giving them a final agreement to build this whole thing out. Every project that comes along, they still have to come before us and go through the entire process. And that's all I have. Is there any public comment needed, Kyle?
Yes, Tony.
Okay. Your motion to open public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Hello, Tony.
Hi, sorry, yeah. I'm sorry, I blew out my home phone. Anyhow, the only question I really had was why are they using Morrisville and not the Township of Falls Authority?
We're not addressing that tonight, but we can answer that question. It's that's who serves
Okay.
down there is Marsville as of right now. They have the ability to sell it to whoever they want. And North Point does.
Okay,
That'll be on our next Monday's agenda.
okay,
That's it?
yep,
All right, have a good night.
thanks.
All right, no other questions or comments? Is there a motion then?
I make the motion to approve the agreement.
Yeah, I know,
I'll second it.
whatever.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that's it. Congratulations to North Point.
And Mr. Dent, as you realize, the resolution that was on the agenda originally regarding the potential transfer of the water and sewer facilities from U.S. Steel to the Morrisville Municipal Authority will be pushed till next Monday. So if you want to just have a motion to table that item until next Monday, that would be appropriate.
All right, I'll make the motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 All right. And I guess that's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion.
Second.